This is a Key Stage 3 presentation looking at chromosomes. In this session, we're going to look at what we refer to as a full set of chromosomes and a half set of chromosomes inside gametes and inside normal body cells. We're going to look at some genetic disorders and how genetic disorders arise. You will need a pen, and you'll also need a pen or pencil, something to write with. To get started, all you have to do is identify the labels 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Pause the presentation, and when you're ready, you can restart to check your answers. Just to help you along in case you're stuck, what you've now got is the missing words on the right hand side. So if you have answered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's brilliant, well done. If you want to, however, you can now use the words on the right hand side and try and match them up to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. When you're ready, you can restart and check your answers. So pause now. Well, the answers are as follows. Number 1 is a cell, 2 is the nucleus, 3 refers to chromosomes, 4 is the genes on a chromosome, and 5 is the DNA that chromosomes are made from. Remember, chromosomes are the structures that we refer to when DNA has become condensed. When DNA is not condensed, it's just big long strands inside a nucleus, we refer to it as chromatin. When chromatin is condensed, we form structures called chromosomes. And little sections of chromosomes that code for a particular protein are known as a gene. Now there's two shapes that you can see chromosomes as. You can see them as single lines like in picture 1, or you can see them in kind of X's as they are in picture 2. And even though they're different shapes, they are both actually the same thing. Picture 1 is a chromosome. Picture 2 is the same chromosome, but it's just made an identical copy of itself. But it's all stuck together as one thing, hence we still refer to it as a chromosome. So picture 1 and picture 2 are exactly the same, except in picture 1, we have half the amount of DNA that we would find in picture 2. Picture 2 has twice as much DNA, but picture 1 and picture 2 still only show one chromosome. The question you've got is how many chromosomes are there in the first nucleus in the right hand side pictures, how many in the second nucleus, and how much DNA is there in nucleus 2 if nucleus 1 has 1 gram of DNA. Pause the presentation, come up with some answers. When you're ready, you can restart. Well, in nucleus 1 we have 3 chromosomes. In nucleus 2 we also have 3 chromosomes. The difference, of course, is that if nucleus 1 has 1 gram of DNA, then nucleus 2 would have twice as much, which would be 2 grams of DNA. And we have these things called gametes. And gametes are sex cells. They're made in a process called meiosis. And you have to remember that word. Remember, both plants and animals have sex cells. They have gametes. Pause the presentation and try to name the male and female gamete in an animal and the male and female gamete in a plant. Pause now and restart when you're ready. Well, in a male, we refer to the gamete as sperm. In a female animal, we refer to the gamete as an egg. In plants, the male gamete is pollen, and in plants, the female gamete is referred to as an ovule. And you need to know those terms. Remember the chromosome number. So the number of chromosomes found in any organism is unique to that particular organism. Sometimes organisms have the same number of chromosomes and sometimes organisms have different numbers of chromosomes. But every species has a certain number of chromosomes and every member of that species will always have that number of chromosomes. So for example, all mice will have 40 chromosomes, all strawberries will have 56, and all pigs will have 38, where all peanuts will have 40. Because organisms all have different numbers of chromosomes, we don't refer to numbers of chromosomes. We actually use words to describe when we're talking about chromosomes. And we talk about a term called the diploid number and the haploid number. So what's the difference? Well, a haploid number is often written as the letter n, lowercase, whereas a diploid number is written as 2n with a lowercase n. The haploid number refers to the number of chromosomes that are found inside a gamete. It doesn't matter what the actual number is, and it doesn't matter what organism we're talking about. When we talk about the haploid number for an organism, we are talking about the number of chromosomes found inside its gamete. Remember, the gametes refer to sex cells. When we talk about diploid, we talk about the number of chromosomes found in every other type of cell in the entire organism except the gametes. Every single cell in every single organism has all the DNA. Certain bits are turned on, certain bits are turned off depending on what the job of that particular cell is, but all cells contain all the DNA. Because they contain all the DNA, they've got all the chromosomes. The only exception, of course, is where we come across the gametes. So the sex cells do not. Now you do need to know the haploid number and diploid number for humans. When it comes to humans, the haploid number is 23. The diploid number is 46. That means any cell inside a human body, with the exception of sperm and eggs, will have 46 chromosomes. Hair, skin, eye, liver, stomach, bone, doesn't matter. Muscle, doesn't matter. All of them will have 46 chromosomes. The only time you will find less than 46 chromosomes is the haploid number, which is 23 in humans, and that only occurs in the gametes or sex cells. It doesn't matter if it's sperm or egg, you will only have 23, the haploid number for humans, chromosomes inside the gametes. What we're going to look at now is what would happen if the number of chromosomes in a gamete was diploid. So you've got a male parent with every cell in their body having a diploid number, and a female parent with every cell in their body having a diploid number. Now remember, this isn't what actually happens in real life. We're just using this as an example to show you why this does not happen. But let's pretend that male gametes and female gametes had got a diploid number in them. Well, when the male gamete, remember, that's a sperm, and the female gamete, remember, that's an egg. When the nuclei from those two cells fuse, you will have an offspring. But that offspring will actually have double the diploid number. It'll have way too many chromosomes. And here's two questions for you. Name the process of fusing the nuclei of a male and female gamete. And why would having so many chromosomes be a problem? Pause the presentation, take 2 minutes, try and come up with an answer to each question, and then restart to check your answers. So pause now. Well, the process of fusing the nuclei of a male and female gamete is known as fertilization. And why would having so many chromosomes be a problem? Well, what you would have is you have a range of genetic diseases, and we'll look at some names of specific examples later on. But genetic diseases occur when an organism has the incorrect number of chromosomes. So instead of having a diploid number, it has extra or it has some missing. So why are gametes haploid? Well, in the previous example we looked at, which remember is just imaginary, it's not what really happens, we said that the male and female gametes had diploid numbers. And the problem was that when we had fertilization, we had an offspring which had double the diploid number of chromosomes. It had far too many chromosomes. If, however, and what really happens is that the male and female parent, their gametes, instead of having a diploid number, have a haploid number. Remember, the haploid number is always half of what the diploid number is. So in humans, the diploid is 46, the haploid is 23. When you get the male gamete and the female gamete and we have fertilization, we get back to that diploid number. So we have the right number of chromosomes, we don't have any extra, we're not missing any, and therefore we don't have any genetic diseases caused by the random number of chromosomes. We have to make sure that we're clear that the one on the right is what really happens, the one on the left, we're just explaining why we don't do that. Organisms, gametes, have haploid numbers of chromosomes, so that when they join together two gametes, one male and one female, in fertilization, the new offspring has the diploid number of chromosomes. When we get into looking at the actual chromosomes of humans, as we said, humans have a diploid number of 46 chromosomes and a haploid number of 23. However, each of the chromosomes inside a human and in all organisms are actually in sets of two. They work in pairs. What you then have, of the 46 chromosomes in humans, we can then arrange them into 23 pairs. And if you look at the picture on the right hand side, you can see the arrangement of those 23 pairs. Notice in the green box at the end, we have two sets. You'll only have organisms with one of those things. So you'll either have two X's, which are the ones on the left of the green box, or an X and a Y, which is on the right of the green box. Depending on whether you have two X's, or if you have an X and a Y, in humans will determine if you are male or if you're a female. If you have an XY, you are male. If you have an XX, you are female. Which is why that last set of chromosomes, that last pair, number 23, they're referred to as the sex chromosomes, because they're the ones that determine what your sex is. The other 22 pairs in humans are referred to as autosomal because the autosomes carry all your other characteristics, but they do not determine your sex. So in humans, it's 46 chromosomes arranged into 23 pairs. 22 of those pairs are the autosomes, and pair number 23 that determines the sex of the offspring are referred to as the sex chromosomes. Just be aware, in humans, XX is female and XY is male, but in other animals, that's not always true. For example, in chickens, the reverse is true. Now, we've mentioned about genetic disorders. When we have fertilization and when we have gametes being made by meiosis, things can go wrong. And when things go wrong, we can have gametes with an incorrect number of chromosomes. So instead of the haploid number, they have some extra or they are missing some. And also in fertilization, you can have random combinations of chromosomes linking together. And as a result, you don't end up with offspring or a fertilized egg that contains exactly the diploid number of chromosomes. And as a consequence, you can end up with all sorts of diseases. For example, Down syndrome is an extra chromosome 21, but there are plenty of other ones, some of which involve the autosomes, which are the first 22 pairs of chromosomes, some of which involve the sex chromosomes, which is pair number 23. And you're welcome to go and research any of the examples to find out more information about them. Just to finish off, make sure you get yourself on Educate. There are 10 questions. Have a go at them, and if you have any questions, make sure you get back to me. Good luck.